Well, thank you everybody for joining us. My name is Aaron Aylsworth and I'm the producer of The Woman of the Mountain. And today we're honored to have with us Professor Marshall Trimble. A lot of people, if you don't know Marshall Trimble by sight, probably know him by his work, seen him on many television programs having to do with history in Arizona, print media, etc., etc. Longtime professor of Southwestern and Arizona History Studies and the official Arizona State Historian. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Good to be here, Aaron.
Thank you. Well, to start out with, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I started teaching Arizona history here at Scottsdale Community College in January of 1972, and it just grew from there. Pretty soon they brought me up. I was a high school teacher, Coronado High School, and they brought me up here in 1977 to run a program, an interdisciplinary studies program on the Southwest. I was just passionate about the subject, and next thing I know, I'm writing books and I'm doing a lot of public lectures and public shows with my guitar and things like that. And then one day I was doing a seminar for ASU for school teachers. They approached the professor and said, we think Arizona needs a state historian. So they began to badger the governor, and in 1997 Governor Symington appointed me state historian, and I've been appointed by each succeeding governor. So I kind of stay out of politics. My subject is Arizona and the surrounding areas.
Maybe staying out of politics is how you keep getting reappointed through administration after administration. The story, The Woman of the Mountain, it's a fiction set in the 1880s. It's being filmed out in Goldfield, and the premise is about how the lust for gold kind of can lead people to kind of a bad demise. There might be a dark side to that. And we know that throughout Arizona history, from the very beginning with Cabeza de Vaca to Coronado to even today, when you have some people maybe walking around up there looking for the lost Dutchman mine, obviously you probably have a lot of insights about how the search for gold is played in Arizona's history.
Well, I've been around that Superstition Mountain Lost Dutchman story all my life. I was born in Mesa, so I had heard the story and grew up hearing the story. In fact, you heard so many stories, it was pretty hard to separate truth from fiction. And that's how these kind of lost mine stories are. The chronicler for the Coronado expedition in 1540, that they spent 2 years out here looking for the lost cities of gold, and he really hit it on the head when he wrote, his name was Castaneda, paraphrasing it, but he wrote, "Though we did not find the gold which we sought, we found a good place to look for it." And this wild, untamed country of Arizona is a perfect place to lose a mine. And then the big thing, though, is the Superstition Mountains themselves. They're rugged, they were a lair, they were sacred land, they were the home of the thunder gods of the Apache. It's got everything, every ingredient you need for a story that just grips treasure seekers and dreamers and true believers, we call them.
Another question, when we talk about films, we talk about Jeremiah Johnson, we talk about Treasure of the Sierra Madre, the classic, search for gold, turning people mad. You got some insights about the history of movies in Arizona?
Well, from the very start, in the early 1900s, the first movie that had a story of any kind was The Great Train Robbery, 1903, filmed in the wilds of New Jersey. But it wasn't long after that people like Cecil B. DeMille, names that became legend later, they began to look for real locations soon after the Great Train Robbery. And so they came into the Flagstaff area, they came into the Oak Creek and Sedona area, which was one of the best places to film. And they filmed a lot of those B-westerns with Tom Mix in the 1920s around Prescott. About 1938, Harry Goulding convinced John Ford to come out to Monument Valley. Westerns were going to go into more of the big screen type western, instead of these B westerns. They were starting to phase out, and it was the first breakthrough role for John Wayne. And then Old Tucson came in 1939. So we have a rich history, and if I can editorialize here for a minute,
sure.
I'd like to say I don't understand why the state doesn't put more effort into the state film department. We're missing a chance to make an awful lot of money on these films, and that's good for tourism too.
Yeah.
And tourism's the cleanest dollar you can make. They come in, they spend it, and they go back home.
Are you still teaching?
When I retired, I think they thought I was going out to pasture or something, I'm going to be guest lecturing whenever they ask. I still love to teach. I worked a long time to learn all this stuff, and still have a lot to share, and that's what I plan to do.
Well, I'm sure the state and generations of your students past and generations to come are appreciating your passion and your time and effort with everyone. With that, we wanted to thank you again, and we wish you the best.
Well, my pleasure, Aaron.
All right, great talking with you, Marshall. Thank you.